Hey everyone, I'm Jesse Jace. Tier lists are the cool thing for the kids to do on YouTube these days, so naturally I need to make one. Combining that need with my compulsion to make videos showcasing various aspects of life in Japan, here's what I came up with. This is my tier list of Yamanote Line stations. For the uninitiated, the JR Yamanote Line is a looping railway in central Tokyo, contained completely within a handful of the Nijusanku, or 23 wards. It has 30 stations, is recognizable by its light green signage, and although it does loop and is often represented on maps as a circle, it's truthfully shaped more like a vampire fang. It takes roughly an hour to travel all the way around the Yamanote Line on the train, not that you'd ever have a good reason to do so. And if you did, they'd definitely hassle you at the ticket gate when you try to exit at the same station where you entered, so please don't do that. So, with 30 stations to cover, we better get started or we'll be here all day. We're going to cover them in the order of their station code numbers, beginning with
Tokyo JY1.
Tokyo Station, located at about the 3 o'clock position on the line, isn't the busiest station on this line by volume, but it is massive. It's so big that there are moving walkways to help you get to and from the Keio line platforms, which are surprisingly far from all the other JR platforms in the station. Tokyo is a junction for 7 JR lines and 7 Shinkansen or bullet train lines, 1 subway line plus 4 more if you count the ones that go through the adjacent Tamachi Station, and the Narita Express. That is a lot of connections, and station utility will factor into my tier placements, as will the nice architecture that some parts of this station have, including a lovely red brick exterior on the Marunouchi exit side. The only strike against Tokyo Station, in my opinion, is the fact that the surrounding neighborhood is kind of uninteresting. It's mostly office buildings, so it's not a high priority for tourists to exit there. A lot of people work there, however, which makes Tokyo Station the world's 8th busiest train station by passenger traffic.
Kanda JY2.
Kanda, the next stop counterclockwise from Tokyo, is tiny by comparison, serving 3 JR lines and 1 lonely subway. By the way, the Keihin Tohoku line skips this and a bunch of other stations on the Yamanote Line's east side between the hours of about 10:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Kanda isn't going to win any points for usefulness, but I guess its slightly seedy character is better than none at all. The red brick motif seen in the Tokyo Station building continues in some locations in this neighborhood, but in a scummier, more run-down kind of way.
Akihabara JY3.
Akihabara has been a hotbed of electrical shops for decades, but it only really became known as a mecca for visiting anime nerds within the last 20 years or so. Now it's positively rotten with rubberneckers, tourists, whom we love. Please continue bringing your money to Japan. I loved Akihabara when I moved to Tokyo in 2003, but it has since gentrified quite a bit and become sterile. The sense of adventure I used to get from exploring its shops is diluted now by comparison. It has 3 JR lines, the Hibiya subway line, and the relatively new Tsukuba Express, which costs way too much to ride, considering it only goes to places I don't want to go. The colorful town around it counts for a lot, and so does the nostalgia, so it gets placed here.
Okachimachi JY4.
Other than the Yamanote line, this station technically only has one other JR line contacting it, the Keihin Tohoku line, which again doesn't stop here unless it's rush hour, so thanks for nothing. All the subway lines that stop close to here are technically at different stations. The town is mostly known for sketchy-looking jewelry stores, and like its name suggests, I often walk through Okachimachi, but it's never my destination. In its defense, however, it's worth noting that Okachimachi marks the south end of the Ameya Yokocho shopping street, which is one of Tokyo's most colorful districts and a must for visitors.
Ueno JY5.
Smaller in profile than Tokyo Station, but nothing to scoff at, Ueno joins 5 JR lines, 6 Shinkansen, 2 subways, and the Keisei line, which stops at the technically separate Keisei Ueno Station. As far as I'm concerned, the neighborhood around it makes this station a crucial stop-off for tourists and locals alike, with access to Ueno Park, multiple museums, the massive toy store Yamashiroya, and the aforementioned Ameya Yokocho, which is a great place to shop for shoes, food, and some of the tackiest t-shirts I've ever seen.
Uguisudani JY6.
Note that this station's named after a bird. This will come up again later. This station is garbage. I've never even used it, because I've never had reason to. It only contacts the Yamanote and Keihin Tohoku lines, and as far as I can see, the only businesses around it are love hotels, which are hotels that charge by the hour, where you can take your girlfriend if you still live at home and can't get any privacy there. A lot of them have themed rooms and costumes for rent. I've read.
Nippori JY7.
I'm going to take back a few things I've said about Nippori Station, primarily in the first draft of my script for this video. At first glance, the town around the station isn't much to look at, what with the hellscape of train tracks passing through the town visible from street-level bridges that pass over them. 4 JR lines, the Keisei line, and some piece of shit called the Nippori Toneri Liner, which has an ugly pink and green logo.
Hideousness!
But if you know where to go, you can check out Yanaka Ginza, a quaint shitamachi or downtown-style street full of shops selling all manner of endearing bric-a-brac. It has a relaxing vibe and its old Tokyo charm is maxed out. Visiting this neighborhood on a sunny day when I didn't need to be anywhere else put me in a much better mood than I had expected, so Nippori gets to be in this tier right here.
Nishi-Nippori JY8.
Just like Nippori, only more Nishi. Actually, Nishi-Nippori feels considerably more urban and bustling than its brother to the southeast. 2 JR lines, 1 subway, and the Toneri Liner again. Both Nipporis are on the hilly side, which you could take as a positive or a negative, depending on how much you like walking up and down hills. Nippori has a little more personality, so this one gets ranked a bit lower.
Tabata JY9.
It only joins the Yamanote and Keihin Tohoku lines, and it's the northernmost station on the Yamanote loop, just barely. This is another station I never saw from the outside until I made this video. As soon as I got outside the gate, I felt the urge to run back in, get back on the train, and go somewhere else. Railroad tracks as far as the eye can see, and that's it. Even though not that many lines actually stop at the stations around here, they still pass close by, resulting in this seemingly endless stockyard scenery. It's a necessary evil, I guess, but come on. If railroads are the circulatory system of Tokyo, then this seems unhealthy.
Komagome JY10.
I'm not trying to be funny with these name translations. That's what the name means. Komagome contacts just the 1 JR line and 1 subway. Nothing to get hot to trot about, but from this station you can hoof it to Rikugian Garden, a nice spot with beautiful scenery that you'll be chomping at the bit to photograph. So ride 'em cowboy, yee-haw.
Sugamo JY11.
What kind of stupid name is that? And it's another station whose name involves some kind of bird. Again, 1 JR, 1 subway. But check this out. Sugamo is known as a shopping hub for the elderly. This has, in turn, earned it nicknames like Grandma's Harajuku, which might not mean anything to you as we haven't reached Harajuku yet, but we will, so just keep Grandma in your thoughts and prayers until then.
Otsuka JY12.
Okay, you know what? Some of these station names really could be better. Otsuka is unique because in addition to the Yamanote Line, it contacts the Toden Arakawa Line, also known as the Sakura Tram. The Arakawa Tram is the last remnant of a much bigger citywide Toden tram and streetcar network that existed in the early 20th century. And that's all I have to say about Otsuka.
Ikebukuro JY13.
Some people call Ikebukuro Budget Shinjuku, which might not make sense yet because we haven't reached Shinjuku. Am I doing these in the wrong order? It's a big-time commercial district, but it still has some funky, seedy areas. 3 JR lines, which is fewer than you'd think, as well as 3 subways and 2 shitetsu, or private railways, the Seibu Ikebukuro and Tobu Tojo lines. The Narita Express also comes through. In my younger days, I spent a lot of nights out in Ikebukuro, but these days it has less personal meaning for me than Ueno. Ikebukuro is the 3rd busiest rail station on Earth. The neighborhood around it has a lot to offer, not just in terms of shopping and nightlife, but also strange and alarming smells.
Mejiro JY14.
That's a bird. We've got another bird station here.
Nobody cares.
It has no other lines running through it other than the Yamanote. As such, it's one of the quieter stations on the loop and possibly the most useless. I really tried to find something in the immediate vicinity to highlight, but there's just nothing. It's like the station only exists to serve the people who live around it. Peh. And you might think, well, don't those people deserve a train station? I mean, sure, okay, but look, if you get off the train here, it's either because you're lost or you have diarrhea.
Takadanobaba, JY15.
Considering the small utilitarian profile of Baba, as it's affectionately known, only one JR line, one subway, and one private line, it is a busy place, owing in large part to its proximity to Waseda University. Waseda is one of the best universities in Japan, so Takadanobaba is full of students who sacrificed a lot of their childhood free time in favor of their studies, and can be seen today, throwing up on the curb outside an izakaya. It's not such a big station, but it's the 10th busiest rail station in the world. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't spent more time there because Takadanobaba is home to one of Tokyo's very best video arcades, Mikado.
Shin-Okubo, JY16.
If you're wondering, hey, this is new Okubo, where's the old one? Well, that's on the Chuo Soba line, and that station is just a couple blocks away. Like Mejiro, this is another station with only the Yamanote Line running through it. But Shin-Okubo has an edge over its avian brother, which is that it's surrounded by a bustling Koreatown. There's a lot to eat here. So I guess it's a little different from Mejiro in that you get off at this station if you don't have diarrhea yet, but you'd like to have it for whatever reason.
Shinjuku, JY17.
5 JR lines, 3 subways, 3 private lines, and the Narita Express for a total of 35 platforms, plus underground passages connecting it to 5 other stations that you can access from Shinjuku without seeing the sun, and an above-ground and underground total of more than 200 exits. Shinjuku Station is the world's busiest transport hub by a wide margin, serving over 3.5 million daily commuters into and out of the commercial heart of central Tokyo. Portions of Shinjuku Station have been under construction since I arrived here in 2003. One such portion is the west exit, the underground part of which was a location used in the filming of the Beastie Boys music video for the song Intergalactic. Shinjuku has just about everything and is, by most metrics, the center of the world's most populous metropolitan area.
Yoyogi, JY18.
If Shinjuku got you too hyped with its skyscrapers, maybe Yoyogi will calm you down with its one skyscraper. It has 2 JR lines and 1 subway running through it. Yoyogi Station's name fools tourists into believing that it's the most convenient access point for Yoyogi Park, but the joke's on them! Rather, Yoyogi's most recognizable feature is the NTT Docomo Yoyogi building, also called Docomo Tower, whose iconic clock seems recently to be out of order.
Harajuku, JY19.
Okay, this one kind of pisses me off.
Furious anger.
I just mentioned Yoyogi Park, right? Well, Harajuku is the closest station to both that and Meiji Shrine, one of Tokyo's most famous landmarks. But Harajuku has spent 112 of its 116-year history being too damn small to accommodate all the people trying to visit those 2 destinations. The 2019 renovation helped a little, but this is still a dinky station with dangerously narrow platforms and way too many people in it. And without counting the technically separate subway access to the Chiyoda and Fukutoshin lines, this is another Yamanote Line only stop. Sorry, I mentioned Harajuku earlier when I was talking about Sugamo. That's because Harajuku is famous for fashion hotspot Takeshita Street, which is one of Tokyo's more crowded and stressful places to visit.
Shibuya, JY20.
The second busiest train station in the world, Shibuya is like Shinjuku's obnoxious little sister. Or maybe I should say, Shibster. No, that doesn't really work. 2 JR lines, 3 subways, 3 private railways, and the Narita Express feed Shibuya's 3 million daily users into and out of the station. Unfortunately, it's another station that suffers from Harajuku syndrome, feeling rather like it isn't quite big enough, especially in and around the Hachiko entrance to the JR portion of the station. Speaking of the Hachiko entrance, the surrounding neighborhood includes world-famous Hachiko Crossing, Shibuya Center Gai, and Shibuya Ichimaru-Q, another fashion mecca. Because of the agoraphobic nature of the station experience, this one gets bumped down a level.
Ebisu, JY21.
That's the theme song from The Third Man. It's also the door closing alert used on the JR platforms at Ebisu Station and the song used in Ebisu beer commercials, the beer for which this station and its surrounding neighborhood are named. It's a posh neighborhood and in my opinion not much more than a fashionable address for people who are insecure about. The station has 3 JR lines and 1 subway, and now that Good Day Books has permanently closed, I have very little reason to ever go there.
Meguro, JY22.
The 4th and final station on our list named after a bird. Meguro has 1 JR line, 2 subways, and 1 private line running through it. Once again, I have no reason to go there, and the surrounding neighborhood is nondescript. I mean, they basically built the station to accommodate people other than me personally. Can you imagine that? Not my scene. You can have it.
Gotanda, JY23.
Gotanda was a lot sketchier looking when I first moved to Japan, but it's cleaned up somewhat. Not completely. It's always been a small thorn in my side, because whenever someone used to ask me where I lived, I would tell them Gotanno, which was a completely different place that a lot of people have never heard of. Then those people would get all know-it-all on my ass and say, "Oh, you mean Gotanda?" And I was like, "No, I live in Gotanno, you stupid fool." 1 JR line, 1 subway, and 1 private line. Guess what? I've lived in Tokyo for 20 years, and until I made this video, I never got off the train here.
Osaki, JY24.
I guess I should point out that a lot of inland place names in the greater Tokyo area sound like water features. That's because the area used to be a lot marshier than it is now, and a large portion of present-day Tokyo and its surroundings are built on reclaimed land in the once much larger Tokyo Bay. Anyway, here's Osaki with 3 JR lines and 1 third sector line, the laughably named Tokyo Rinkai Kosoku Tetsudo Rinkai-sen. It's got the word Rinkai in the name twice, which contradicts a few things I've heard about Japanese efficiency. Osaki is the southernmost station on the loop, and its surrounding neighborhood has a lot of head offices of major companies including Sega and Adobe Japan, but other than that, it lacks character.
Shinagawa, JY25.
Serving 4 JR lines, 1 private line, the Tokaido Shinkansen and the Narita Express, Shinagawa is one of the big ones, and one of the oldest stations in Japan, although you can't tell by looking at it today. None of the original structure exists anymore, and the current station is conversely really modern looking. There are some big-ass skyscrapers here, but the main reason most foreigners in Tokyo use Shinagawa Station is to visit the Tokyo Immigration Bureau on nearby Tennozu Isle, or Gaijin Island as it's known with ironic affection. It's the 9th busiest train station in the world, narrowly edging out Takadanobaba. There's a funny naming thing going on with Shinagawa, as it's the name of a station in Minato Ward, not Shinagawa Ward, which is to the south. As a result, when you leave Shinagawa Station going south on the Keihin-Kyuko line, the next station is called North Shinagawa.
What a country!
Takanawa Gateway, JY26.
Here's a funny story for you. In the lead up to the 2020 Olympic Games, Tokyo was wringing its hands in anticipation of all the money the event would bring in. Accordingly, they built 5 new stadiums and added this station to the Yamanote Line at immense cost, despite the Olympics being a subject of constant protests. In the end, of course, the games were postponed a year and then greatly diminished in scale and spectacle due to the COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in a combined loss for the city of about 90 billion yen. And all we have to show for this folly is Takanawa Gateway Station, the only Yamanote stop with an English word in its name. It also has the Keihin-Tohoku line running through it, but other than that, nothing, unless you count the Keihin-Kyuko and Asakusa subway lines contacts at Sengakuji Station. The station building's interior is beautiful, but the neighborhood around it is a sea of stalled development projects. In my opinion, if Tokyo doesn't want this road in front of the station to play host to a lot of violent bikers, they better just say never mind and bulldoze the whole thing, because I've seen the future and it doesn't end well. Hashtag no more Olympics.
Tamachi, JY27.
2 JR lines come through Tamachi, plus 2 subways if you count Tamachi and Mita as the same station, but guess what? They aren't, or they'd have the same name. You'll notice there are a lot of cases of train companies butting heads over neighborhood names, as evidenced by their differing station names. Tamachi/Mita is a pretty boring town full of office buildings, but because I used to work there, I know a couple of picturesque spots. It's home to the Mita campus of Temple University, Japan, as well as Keio University, the alma mater of a long list of famous alumni, including visual artist Fujishiro Seiji and former Prime Minister Koizumi Junichiro.
Hamamatsucho, JY28.
2 JR lines, 2 subways, but they serve a nearby station called Daimon, and the Tokyo monorail, which goes to Haneda Airport. Hamamatsucho is also a common access point for Shiba Park, Zojoji Temple, the now defunct Tsukiji Fish Market, and Tokyo Tower, the country's second tallest freestanding structure. There's also Kyushibarikyu and Hamarikyu Gardens if you feel the need to be tranquil, and a terminal for Tokyo Cruise if you feel the need to get drunk on a boat.
Shimbashi, JY29.
Shimbashi is a town full of sarariman, the archetypal Japanese male office worker. Whenever the news wants to find out where sarariman stand on an issue, they head to Shimbashi to interview them. And appropriately, Shimbashi is full of things sarariman love. Bars, button-down shirts, video strip mahjong, and a steam locomotive. It's a mid-sized hub on the Yamanote with 4 JR lines, 2 subways, and a separate terminal for the Yurikamome, an automated suspension tram connecting mainland Tokyo to the entertainment and commercial Odaiba district. It's expensive to ride, but it's a scenic trip offering views of Tokyo that you can't get any other way. The signage in the Yurikamome's stations also uses the font Iris, which is one of my favorite fonts, and the font I use on this channel, so I'm a nerd.
Yurakucho, JY30.
Here we are, the last one. It's the nearest Yamanote stop to the famous Ginza district, if you're into that kind of thing. 2 JR lines, and a subway line which shares the name of the station. Coincidentally, this is another town where news camera crews tend to do man-on-the-street interviews.
Oh shit. That shit right.
It's a pretty nice blend of shopping and dining opportunities, feeling rather like an extension of the more famous Ginza. And there you have it, all 30 stations on the Yamanote Line placed neatly in tiers for your convenience. Am I wrong about any of these? No, but if you think so, get at me in the comments and I'll be sure to correct you. My name's Jesse Jace. Thank you for watching.